What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush. Let's talk Jets. Hope all of you and your families are having an excellent Labor Day weekend. We are 1 week away from the kickoff of the season, the home opener, easily my favorite game of the year. Should be a fired up crowd, a loud crowd. As of today, I don't think the game is sold out, which is ridiculous. So, Jet fans, get your tickets. We will be in J21 tailgating. If you want to stop by and say hi, it'll be great to see everybody, have a beer, talk some football and whatever else. So the 2022 season, we get this question a lot. It's like, what are your expectations? What are realistic expectations for this team? And I think the expectations are high. I mean, it's fair and realistic to say, you know what? We expect competitive football week in and week out. You know, this team talked about culture and all gas, no break, and playing fast, playing physical. Well, this is the year you have to start showing that. Last year was just basically a washout year where you're identifying yourself, your scheme, your players. Year 2, you take the next step where it's like, all right, we're going to be very competitive. Year 3, you're talking this team should be a playoff caliber team. So on offense, it always starts with, to be honest with you, the offensive line, which obviously the injury of Mekhi Becton was a blow. But the Jets are going to be starting 4 veteran offensive linemen. They potentially have two Pro Bowl caliber guards in Tomlinson and Vera Tucker. So that could be a good foundation to establish the running game, which I think the Jets want to do. I mean, the best way to help your quarterback or hide your quarterback if he's struggling is to run the football. Also opens up play action pass, the vertical game, and everything else. So offensive line, I think, will be okay, pending health. Dwayne Brown, a little bit older. George Fant coming back from injury. So hopefully, as long as they stay healthy, I think they'll be okay. The biggest problem we've talked about a million times is the tackle depth, which as of this video, they really haven't addressed, which has been concerning the entire offseason. I like Max Mitchell, but I think he's a project. But whatever, I think as of now, a healthy offensive line should be able to run the ball. Then when you look at the running backs, Breece Hall, Michael Carter, I'm a big fan of both of them. A lot of speed. I don't really like Ty Johnson too much. Zonovan Knight is nice. I think my biggest concern is their ability in pass protection. How are they going to do that? Can they protect the quarterback consistently? The last thing you want is a quarterback to get drilled. But the potential of them catching the ball, the speed, everything else, it's a very dynamic tandem, which is very exciting. The tight end group, completely overhauled for the first time probably a decade, where they have legitimate playmakers now. You have, Conklin, a very good pass catcher. Azuma, consistent guy. Ruckert could be your hybrid guy moving around. So you got to really like, and they have Cager too, which is like a very good athlete. So you have nice versatility. You have flexibility tight end position, which can also open up the outside. Good in the red zone. Good in the safety valve for the quarterback, which is important. Then you go to wide receiver group, where it's impossible to not be excited. Elijah Moore looks like he's on a verge of having a breakout year. Garrett Wilson, young kid, but great route runner, explosive, tenacious, adds a lot of value. Corey Davis, the veteran. You got Braxton Berrios. I mean, the wide receiver group is deep. I like Jeff Smith. Denzel Mims, I don't think was probably going to get traded at some point. But the wide receiver group, again, is a strength where all you have is playmakers throughout the entire offense that get the ball in space, let them flourish. I have a lot of confidence in Mike LaFleur, especially based on how he ended the season last year, where he was doing things with smoke and mirrors as his entire wide receiver group is decimated. The offensive line was banged up. So then it comes down to the quarterback. Now, Zach Wilson being hurt obviously is not ideal. Missing valuable training camp reps is not ideal. The joint practices, the preseason. But this is the NFL, man. And last year was not a good year, and he has to step up this year. You'll give him a game or two to get acclimated back to the speed of the game and get the chemistry with his teammates. I still don't think he's going to play week 1. I know he said he'll be ready for week 1. I don't think the Jets rushed him back with 1 week of practice. But it's a big year for him, man. I just talked about it. He has weapons all around him. The offensive line should be better. He does not have to play hero football. Just get the ball out of your hands, run the offense, manage the game. If you get off 1 or 2 splash plays a game, that's great. But just keep this team competitive. Don't be the problem, be the answer. And then next year, be that game-breaking talent that we think you can be. But this is a monumental year for Wilson, man. And right now, a lot of fans are nervous because you didn't see a lot in the preseason. And what you did see was an interception and an injury. So I'm still very confident in him. I like his work ethic. He's been, he's tried his best to establish chemistry with his teammates, become a leader. Now he's got to show it on the field. Defensively, this is a pivotal year for Ulbrich and Saleh and their scheme, as last year was complete just garbage. So the defensive line will be a true strength where you have pass rushers galore. I mean, this Jets This is probably the most talented Jets defensive front they've had in a long time. The return of Carl Lawson is monumental. Keep him healthy all year is even bigger, but you got Bryce Huff, you got Jermaine Johnson, you got Michael Clemens, you have all these pass rushers, Jacob Martin. So they're going to have a lot of strength off the edge. The middle of the line is where going to be the biggest test is, where Quinn Williams, can he emerge to be that dominant Pro Bowl player? You have, John Franklin Myers, who a lot of times be playing next to him, Sheldon Rankins, and all these different men that can help us out. So the defensive line is going to set the tone. They've got to be stout. They've got to be physical. They've got to just dominate the trenches and let your linebackers run around. So obviously we all like C.J. Mosley, the veteran who is probably the heart and soul of the defense. You got Quincy Williams. You got Quan Alexander. All solid players. I think that can make a lot of plays behind this line as long as they stay healthy. The secondary, I think, Sauce Gardner, I think, is going to be very good. He may have some growing pains, but this kid is a technician. He loves the game. I think he'll be very good. DJ Reed, I like him, but he's been banged up all preseason. Hopefully he can stay healthy. But the Jets have some depth there. You have Bryce Hall. You have Brandon Eccles. The slot corner, Michael Carter, we all like. Is there depth behind him? Not so sure. The safety position is where I have probably my biggest problem. I like Jordan Whitehead a lot. I'm glad the Jets signed him. Next to him, Marcus Joyner, who hasn't stayed healthy. Then you have Ashton Davis and Tony Adams. I think the biggest key for the Jets is the defensive front to dominate, where any deficiencies in your secondary, they can cover them up. So defensively, this should be a top, 15 defense, top 17 defense. There should be no struggles because they have too much talent. And if they do struggle, I'd like to see Coach Saleh step up and either start calling plays or making adjustments and holding everybody accountable. I think last year for too long, when players weren't playing well, they stayed in the game, and that's got to change this year. So that comes to the coach and the coaching staff. Last year, Saleh got a pass for a lot of things as a rookie head coach. This year, not the same luck. You want to see improved time management, game management, roster management, in-game play calling, adjustments, and this team has to be prepared, week one, first whistle. Far too many times last year, the team started off slow on both sides of the ball. End of the first quarter, you're already down. They're kind of sleepwalking. This year, you can't do that, especially week one. Like the Ravens, you've got to come out firing on all cylinders, match their intensity, match their tenacity, come out physical, set your tone. Now, we saw that against the Giants, where the defense was flying around and doing their thing. That's got to translate to week one. And this is on Saleh. You've got to see, everybody's questioning Zach Wilson, and rightfully so, because he didn't play well last year. Now you got to make sure we had the right coach. And that comes down to Saleh and his staff. In terms of expectations for the season, everybody wants to talk wins and losses. To me, anything less than 7 wins is unacceptable. I genuinely think that this team has too much talent to suck or not be good. And the funny thing is, 7 wins is still not, for most other organizations, going in 7-10 is not good. You're pissed off about it. But we've been so bad for so long that 7 wins, we celebrate it. But this is the progress of the process of a true rebuild, where this roster was barren. There was not a lot of talent. Now you're building it all up, but now it's got to translate. And I made a video saying, you could talk all gas, no break all you want. If you come out flat and don't play well and you're kind of getting your ass beat and pushed around the field, these little cliches don't really mean anything, or quotes. So to me, it's 7 wins, and you got to be very competitive in your division. You got to beat the Dolphins. You got to beat the Patriots. I'm so tired of the loser mindset where it's like, oh, this team's better than us, we can't win. No, good teams find ways to win. Bad teams find ways to lose. This team has got to start figuring out how to win football games and sometimes surprise some people. Like last year, the Bengals game was a good feel-good story, but don't go out and lose to bad teams after that. So this has got to be a 7-win team. And at the end of the season, we need to say, you know what? We have our coach and we have our quarterback. That's what we have to do. If you end this season saying, you know what? I still have no idea what Zach Wilson is. I still have no idea what Saleh is. This defense is a mess. Then you're going into a year 3 with Saleh, like, you know what? He's on the hot seat. Joe Douglas could be on a hot seat. You don't want to go in that situation. Everybody, the Robert Saleh said, this process is too good not to work. Well, you got to show it to us now, because the fans are done. We want to see winning football, man, and it should happen. There's just too much talent. So anything less than 7 wins to me is a complete disappointment. And I don't want it. And I understand the notion where you say, well, if they're a high-flying team, they're losing 38-35 every week, like Justin Herbert did with the Chargers, I maybe will buy that, where you're saying, you know what, they've had really bad luck, but they won, say, 5 games, but every game is just like, you're in it. I may potentially buy that, but I mean, I'm tired of losing, man. And you can't keep rewarding it, saying, you know what, we only won 5 games this year, but that's okay. Like, you got to set a much higher standard, which the Jets have talked about, meaningful games in December, but you just got to do it. So 7 games to me is the least they should win. If you get a lucky break or bounce, like, the football gods have been punishing the Jets for what, I don't know, a decade now, but if you get a couple good breaks, a couple good bounces, could be a 9-win team. You could maybe sneak your way into the hunt. But that's my, wishful thinking thing, because every year a team surprises people. Will it be the Jets this year? I think it mostly falls on the quarterback. But even if he plays just good, this should be a 7-win team. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for watching all our videos, joining us on the streams. We're going to be doing a ton more shows now. Once the season starts, we have the Monday night recap. We have the Tuesday show. We bring callers on. We'll be doing Friday previews and everything else. And I'll talk to you later.